Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to My Spiritual Money RX. Here in this show, we actually do an assessment of where you are in your life so that you can attract the money, the wealth, the right relationships, and the health that you deserve in order for you to create six figures in 90 days or less with ease, grace, and flow. The title of our show today is interesting. It's called Money Leaks, the Paper Doll Syndrome. So a lot of you know that my background is actually, I am a money magnet activator, which means I can see the energy in 5 dimensions and can identify if you have any kind of money leaks. What is a money leak? So if you think about a bucket, right? And there are holes in the bucket. When you pour water in it, it's just gonna leak. So our segment today is about the paper doll syndrome. So this is an energetic boundary syndrome coined by energy healer Cindy Dale. And if you look at yourself, just really being honest of a complete assessment of who you are, right? And what are your patterns? Ask yourself if you're stuck in repetitive patterns that won't go away no matter what you do. In other words, you somehow feel powerless to change the recurring cycles, like you feel like a hamster on a wheel. So if you take a look at your money relationship, right? So do you notice you bring in a lot of money and somehow it disappears? So see if you have that kind of symptom. Or you bring in a romantic relationship in your life and somehow it seems like it starts out well and then towards the middle and the end, it ends up like your former ex, right? So take a look at your life for a few minutes and examine whether you keep on having recurring health issues. So this applies when it comes to money, health, and relationship. Now we call it money leaks because a lot of entrepreneurs, they have that issue on bringing in the money and somehow keeping the money, right? And we talked about expansion a lot. But if we don't plug the leaks, it doesn't really matter how much money we make over and over again, because if we have a paper doll syndrome, we would keep on repeating the same pattern over and over. So when you think about yourself when you were little and you would cut a paper, you fold it in multiple parts and then you cut it a certain way. And then when you open up, it looks like multiple paper dolls, but they all look the same. So have you had a partner that keeps on coming back into your life? Maybe it's a different name, a different look, right? A different job, but it's the same. So take a look at yourself when you had that long time ago, right? Did you meet the same person? Is it the same circumstances or is it different? So figure out whether you have this symptom at all or not. When I look at it energetically, There are a few areas of the energetic boundaries where we see this. Obviously, we see it in the physical boundary or that red energetic boundary that we have. So when you close your eyes and really ask yourself, do you feel important? Do you feel you deserve to have a better life? Do you feel and do you think that you deserve a better partner? So close your eyes and just take a deep breath and see or sense if you can feel this energy of this bright red energy around you. If not, let's take 3 deep breaths and just breathe in red and breathe out red and feel the energy of being enveloped in this beautiful red container. Now, see if you can expand that color so there's actually 7 layers of that around you. Do you feel safe? Do you feel protected? Or do you always look for your partner for that kind of protection? So take a few deep breaths as if you're bringing in this beautiful bright red energy from the heavens and you are allowing yourself to feel safe and protected. Now, get a pen and paper, and I want you to write down the different things or situations, events that truly made you feel safe and secure. Did you have it when you had a certain amount of money in the bank? Did you have it when your father or your mother actually held you? Did you have that feeling of safety when you felt alone? Okay. So really be completely honest with yourself right now and pay attention to what makes you feel safe and secure. And breathe in that sensation, that vision, that image of safety. And what I would suggest for you to do is you actually create a space in your calendar. So obviously, if you're at work, you're at home, and somehow you don't feel safe because you're just doing things all the time, right? It seems like you don't have time for yourself. I would suggest you pick a date and a time wherein you're going to just experience this goodness so that you can repair your energetic boundaries, that's physical and emotional and even relational, so that you can start to patch the holes and the leaks that you have around your aura. When this aura is working perfectly for you, what happens is it doesn't really matter when you're around good people versus not so good people. You tend to have this imaginary protective bubble within you that helps you feel safe and secure. And I can tell you that when the energetics is fixed, then it's easier to attract the right relationship, the right money flow, and even your health because you feel safe and secure in your own skin with or without the right people, right? Obviously, when you're surrounded by the right people that actually complements your energy field, it's going to be so much different, right? So again, paper doll syndrome, if you notice that you have money leaks and you tend to repeat the patterns, may I suggest you write down everything that you have been repeating in your life, whether it's about money or wealth, whether it's about relationship, and whether it is about your health. Okay. And it doesn't matter if it's the same thing or different thing, same person, different person, because they tend to cycle in our lives, right? And then one more thing that I would suggest is to really encounter or put that on your planner or on your calendar that you feel safe and secure clearing all the karma that you've had with that person by saying goodbye to them if it's really the end of that cycle or the end of that relationship versus repeating it over and over again and you're not really getting the results that you would like to have. Okay? So again, 3 things, right? So you want to set aside a time on your calendar to bring that vacation or that self-care time in your life. Number 2, you do have to say goodbye, usually to toxic relationships, and really muster up the courage to do that. And number 3, you want to have time to like be present, meditate, just stay within your body and breathe all this beautiful red energy around you. Once you feel safe and secure, and if you start your day like that every single day, what's going to happen is you will always feel safe and secure, and you're going to start attracting the right people into your life because now they know that it also feels good to be with this safe person, right? Because you become that, and that becomes the energy that you project into the world. So, are there any questions that you have regarding the paper doll syndrome? All right, I think there's a question from our audience, and the question they have is, so what if the person that causes the paper doll syndrome lives with you? So what if your own relative lives with you causing this paper doll syndrome, right? That's a very good question. Thank you so much for asking this question. What if your relative lives with you causing this paper doll syndrome? Again, if you take a look at this, are you blaming the person for causing this on you, or do you already have the paper doll syndrome? That's why you get triggered by this person. 2 ways, right? I would suggest that you actually find time to do nature walk every day, or find a way to take a break or a vacation from this person. The way you can confirm your assessment is when you are out of the same location as that relative and you feel better. That means that yes, there is a trigger within you causing the paper doll syndrome, right? In other words, there would be holes somehow in the bucket causing that. That's why I suggest you do the bringing in the beautiful red energy around you and really sealing all the holes, because that will definitely help you be side by side or face to face with this certain relative. And when they're having a hard time and they're trying to project their issues onto you, you're still going to feel better. Just because you know that you are safe and secure, and whatever they are giving to you, you don't need to take it, right? It's just they're projecting onto you. Therefore, you can always say no, like, no, thank you. That is your thing to settle. And so I don't need to help you with that, because you need to find that peace within you to handle that situation yourself, right? A lot of times when it's a codependent relationship, we try to help the person because then we feel better. But then if you keep on noticing that you're helping the person and they really don't appreciate that help, or they keep on going back to the same problem over and over again, or the same relationship that's quite toxic for them, they're really not asking for help. Okay, maybe deep inside they are, but honestly, they're not quite ready to receive that help yet. So when they're ready, I suggest that's the time that you help them at that point. But I usually give people 3 times, 3 chances. And after that, really, it's just a matter of, oh, okay, you're not quite ready for me. Then when you are ready, I will be right here helping you. That's how I do that. All right. Awesome. That's a great question. Okay. Now, the other question is, what if your own mother, okay, is the one causing the syndrome? All right. Now, this is very, very common in codependent relationships. What if your own mother is the one causing the syndrome? So now the question is there anything that you're doing that is promoting her to perpetuate the syndrome? Okay. So obviously we love our mothers. They're the ones who gave us life, right? Definitely they were the conduit for that life that we have right now. But at the same time, we can heal that relationship so we don't pass it on to our daughters or our sons if we stop the bleed, so to speak. Okay, so if we stop the syndrome, what happens is we no longer hand it to the next generation. So that's the beauty of this, is when you heal the syndrome that you're suffering from, your children start to look at you differently. And there's going to be a pause, by the way, in between this transition. It's not going to be like, oh my God, this is the problem, and then we fix the problem and then it's done, right? It doesn't quite work like that in human relationships. There's actually a transition period wherein the person who's observing you gets confused because they don't know what's happening. But at the same time, you're telling the universe that you're done with that lesson. Therefore, you are now ready to change or transform that for the better. So this happened in my own relationship, wherein it's almost like it's reversed, right? Like, used to be I was the kid and then I had the mother, and then suddenly at a certain age in her life when she needed to process that, it's almost like she was looking up to me as if I was her mother and asking me for advice, if that makes sense. And in the beginning, right, you felt good, and I was giving the advice, giving the advice. And then I noticed the emergencies that happened quite frequently, right? And so then I actually stopped being available for that type of emergency. And then she had to transfer it to my two brothers who are more near to her in the same location. So she kept on asking for help or creating some emergencies at times in order for her to feel the love. And honestly, this is very unconscious if you look at it, right? There are certain parts in our energetic field that at a certain time we are looking for something that is a need that's unmet. And so if this keeps on going on, or the person is not aware or don't want to be aware of the changes that they need to make in order to make things happen or to make it better, then they will continue the pattern. Again, because a pattern means it's unconscious. They don't even know they're doing it. All right. So the more you understand that principle, and when your mother is ready to accept that responsibility at that point, right? It's a way of growing up. When she's ready, that's the time to start opening that up. So obviously, if you bang your head a few times and then you get the same results, whether it's a bleed or you always get an injury, you're going to change, right? I'm hoping you would change. So pay attention to what you're doing as a pattern, because when you keep on repeating it, that is what we call the paper doll syndrome. And like I said, in a relationship, if you keep on doing what you're doing, obviously you're going to expect the same results. I remember the one of my clients before, when I was in physical therapy, the client said, I changed my wife 3 times, right? He said, and I realized I was actually dealing with the same person. So this is a common example of a paper doll syndrome. So a paper doll syndrome is, like I said, it's just a different face, a different personality, different height and weight, but it's going to be the same person you're going to get. And the most common denominator is you. So when you change the way you handle things, that's when everything changes for you. So eventually, this guy, a client of mine, said, I realized I'm dealing with the same person, except she just looks a little different, right? But it's the same thing over and over again. So then he decided to change the way he handles things. And then, of course, the relationship changed from that point forward. All right. So if you really want to change something, but then you need help with it, the best option is actually to go to our creation and manifestation membership circle, because we do this twice a month when the new moon cycle starts, because that's the great way of cleaning everything up. And we do a lot of energetic healing as a group here. And I teach you how to do that, clearing the energy, because it's kind of like you buy a house, but then if it's full of furnitures, if you don't clean it up, then you're going to have to work with what you got, right? So when you clean things up, so coming from a clean slate, then you can actually manifest with ease when you do so. All right. So I invite you to go to our creation and manifestation membership circle because we provide you with resources that will leave you having ahas all throughout the weeks so that the next time we come together and meet, you know exactly what to do and you can change the trajectory of your life in a matter of 6 months or less. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me today and tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed this segment. And I will see you next week for